I'm impressed. I've never had music before. Well, take that back. One time someone put on the Roundabout song by Yes as I walked up to the podium. But that was the only other time. Something interesting is happening in the country today in the last 50 years. We changed entirely how we live in the United States. Car ownership in the United States didn't go over about 20% until after World War II. Think about it. Cars were invented in 1905, 1910. Substantial portion of the population, maybe a quarter, had them by the time the Depression hit. Then the percentage went down. Then the war came. There wasn't oil. There wasn't gasoline. There wasn't rubber. People put them up on blocks. Weren't any domestic cars being made. Everything went into the war effort. So it was really the late 40s, early 50s, before car ownership in the United States went over 25% of the population, or 25% of the households. But when it did, the whole way we live in this country changed. Cities were still dirty. They still burned coal for fuel. So people say, I have to work in the traditional older city, but yet I can buy a nice suburban house with a little bigger yard than I'm used to and move outside that traditional city and drive back and forth. We designed our cities on the edge of the older cities entirely differently. We got rid of the grid systems. We created a system now, interestingly enough, where the average household drives how many miles a day? Anybody want to take a guess? How many?
27 miles.
100. The average household in the United States, and that includes all the people in the big cities that don't drive, 100 household, not person, 100 miles per day. Anybody have any idea what it costs to take 1 mile of county road and turn it into a nice city street with storm sewers and sidewalks and street lights and so on? We're doing 1 mile this summer between 131st, between Spring Mill and Ditch. Old gravel road that had tar on it and then chip and seal and then asphalt, and it's falling apart. It's expensive to maintain, so we're starting from scratch. $7 million, 1 mile. Now, that's not quite fair. It could be 5, as we have 2 bridges in that mile and a couple intersections. But my point is that the infrastructure we're building farther and farther out is going to bankrupt local government, and we need to think about that. But what I really want to talk about tonight is how we take a city. In 1990 we had 25,000 people. In 1950 we had in Carmel, I'm told, right around 2,000 people. When the Southwest Clay area, that's now going to be part of the city, comes in a year and a half, is officially part of the city, we'll be up to close to 90,000 people in the city of Carmel. So just like a business, what's that do to your capital? All the infrastructure that's needed, all the roads and sewer pipes and fire trucks and the cost that comes on 2 legs. That's a management challenge. At the same time, we've made the promise to our citizens we're going to have some of the lowest tax rates in the state, and we've managed to keep that. We currently have, there's 120 units of government classified as cities in the state of Indiana. We've got the fourth lowest tax rate of any of them. And the other 3, I like to say, aren't real cities anyway because they've got under 5,000 or 6,000 people and don't have full-time fire departments. Our water rates are 1/3 government-operated water company. Indianapolis has a private company manage it. Of course, it's a French company, but I won't go there. Their rates are 3 times what ours are in the city of Carmel. Why is that? It's because I think we have worked hard and succeeded at forming and growing strategic partnerships with all sorts of organizations, builders, and developers, and others in the city of Carmel. That's really, I asked somebody not too long ago, I was at a speech, I was sitting in the audience, and it was a Republican speaker, and so I apologized to all the non-Republicans that won't like this, but the speaker said, well, the Democrats hate business, the Libertarians hate government, and it's the Republicans that are really supposed to bring business and government together to get things done. And that's not true. Anytime you make a generalization about that, it's not true. But I think there is some truth to it. And certainly that's the approach we have taken in the city of Carmel, is instead of fighting about who does what and whose role it is to do what, we know there's certain things. We're building a brand new city. These suburban cities are our new cities in this country. And we're building them. This generation gets to build them for the next 500,000 years, where we lay out the streets, whether we decide to have downtowns and walkable, pedestrian-friendly areas, whether or not we have green space and parks, whether these cities are built so they're efficient from the beginning in layout and design. That all depends on our generation. And to get that done properly, government can't do it alone, business can't do it. It takes these strategic partnerships to make it work. And it's when the public sector and the private sector work together with full disclosure, a lot of transparency, that things happen.